Hey y'all, welcome to Lab 6. This is Seth, and what we're going to be talking about today in this video is how to make the graphs and manipulate all of this data here that we see. And so what I've done is I've gotten rid of the initial data, right? So that data um, or the initial information up top that we generally get rid of anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the trajectories in the z direction and the right knee for each one of these different trials, as seeing as we don't need them for any of the graphs or the calculations that we're going to be doing. Okay. And so now that I've got all of those selected and it's just a control select like we did last week, I'm going to right click up top and then I'm going to hit delete. Okay. What that does brings everything over, and now I just have the center of mass direction or center of mass trajectories in the x and the y direction, left foot in the x and the y direction, and the right foot in the x and the y direction for normal walking, line walking, and book on head. Okay? So, the first three figures that you need to make, or you can put all three of these on a single figure, which I'll let you figure out how to do. There are a variety of ways to do it. The most important piece of doing three tasks in one figure is making sure that they're spaced out correctly. Okay. There are ways to do that, and I'll let you look. This is just a pretty much a simple overview of what we're doing. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll start here with the center of mass, and we'll insert a chart, the smooth scatter chart. Okay, so let's orient ourselves to this figure now. What exactly are we looking at? We find the 0, 0 point. Okay, what that 0, 0 point is, it represents the origin of our coordinate system in the laboratory. Okay, and so if you think about uh, and you think about where that might be. So where did your subject walk with respect to the origin? It's shown here, and this is shown in the middle of the floor. Hopefully we showed it to you in lab. If not, we can always point it out to you, and in another video I'll make sure that that's pointed out. Okay. So what we'll do here is now we'll drag these down. All right, so that we get our units correct on our x-axis. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click out of there, click back in, and I'm going to select this guy, and it's going to put center of mass up top, but we can ignore that, and I'm not too worried about it. That's just for the title of our data source. Okay, so if you remember last week, I showed you a different way to do it. Again, this is kind of about showing you all the different ways you can do things in Excel and come out with the same result. So what you're going to do now, and this is a very specific way to do this. You have to do it this way as far as I can tell. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a series, right? And we're going to call this left L foot. Okay. Now for our X series, what we're going to do is we're going to click and select all of these guys. It should be down to 110. And then, so this is E 110. And so what I'm going to do, like I did last week, is I'm going to copy and paste this in. And so now it'll be F5 to F110. Okay, boom, there we go. Now we can look. We see that this is the left foot, and it makes sense that the left foot is on the left side, because you can imagine them walking this way across our collection, and then we have our left foot that comes out over here, and then when we add our next series and we call it R foot, and then we get our X series, and from here down, okay, we can hit enter, and then we'll copy and paste this into the Y value, and then this will be H to H, okay, and boom, there we go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to format this just a little bit. Okay, so I'll delete that there, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I'm going to add some chart elements. I'm going to add primary horizontal, and then I'm going to add primary vertical. And I showed you last week how to go through and get all of these things. But we're just showing you again. Add a legend. We'll put that on the we'll put it on top for now, and then I'm actually going to drag it over here, and I'm going to go like this, okay? And then you can alter the format and alter your font sizes. And so as you're thinking about getting ready for presentations at the end of the term, which is only like 4 weeks away now, or maybe a little less, depending on when you're writing this lab report, um, you want to make these jump out at your audience, because you don't want your audience sitting there in the back of the room thinking, "Oh my gosh, I can't see anything on these graphs." Okay, and so now I've changed these so the axes titles, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to manipulate um, my axes and get. Let me see if I can pull up the bounds. Format axes. There we go. So I right click here and then hit format axes. There we go. And so I'm actually going to change this to -500, and then I'm going to do 2250 there, just to bring it in a little bit, make and put my lines in focus. Excuse me. And then the legend's going to go on the top left. That seems like a good place for it since there's nothing up there. But legend placement's really up to you. This wouldn't be a bad spot either. We try and keep it a little bit away from the data, um, so that it actually looks good. Okay. So that is our first graph, and so you'll need to make 3 of these graphs. Okay, and it's very important that you remember that there are 3. It's all in the lab handout, and so you'll do this. Make this graph here for line walking, and then book on head. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to calculate is the basis support. All right, so or the lateral basis support. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a couple of cells there. And what this looks like is it's equals the absolute value, because it wouldn't make sense to have a negative basis support, right? Um, basis support measures should only go to, or should approach 0. But if they go negative, that doesn't make any sense. How could you possibly have a negative basis support? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the basis support in the medial lateral direction, and it's going to be F5 in this case, left foot Y2. And since it's the absolute value, order doesn't matter here. We'll go like that. Okay. So now we've got our basis support medial lateral in millimeters. Okay. Boom. There we go. And so I'm going to go ahead and drag that, put that all the way down. And I'm going to insert here, insert a new column, and I'm going to copy and paste, right? Oh no, but we're missing data. So that doesn't work. If I double click there, it doesn't quite work. And I can't drag it down because look, that's a problem. So what I do is I select this cell and then I drag it down. Okay. And then what I have to do is I have to delete all of these. Okay. Because we take the largest missing area and we delete that. So what this indicates is that somebody, this isn't my data, just a heads up, because I know that students will give me crap for, you know who you are, who will give me crap if I say that this is my data and I didn't cubic join correctly. This is a former student's data who emailed it to me over the summertime. Okay, just a heads up. So you can't give me crap. All right. So I have to get rid of that and then double click all the way down. And so you'll see that these are different lengths of, or that these data captures are a different length. So it's not like last week where they were all the same. All right, so I'll do this again. I'll copy, and then I'll paste, and I'll click here. And I just made sure I hit escape so that this isn't selected anymore for copying and pasting. And then I double click, and there's base of support. Okay. So now I need to graph all of these, and we can graph it like this, where we insert and select data with the smooth lines. Okay. So we have that, and then we can go here and get our time right. So we've got 1.8 seconds of data collected, and we've got normal, whoops, we'll click out, click back in, and then we'll go to normal walking. Okay, so you see what happened there is when I had both of these selected, or when I had both of them selected, these were moving together, and I didn't want that, so I had to escape out, and then click back in. Okay, so now that says normal walking. All right, that is one way to do this. Okay, and then what we could do is we could insert and we could select data. All right, the other way that we could do this is to go time, basis support, medial lateral, basis support, medial lateral, and our last basis support. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll insert here. All right, so now if we look, we've got our data samples here, and so it starts at 20, right? And that's because we're missing data here, and it's not continuous. XL will just take from this point down. So this is why it's very important to make sure that you've cubic joined everything correctly, and that your data isn't up. And that one popped to 0, which is exactly what we want to see. And then we want to move that red one there to show that is, or to name that series line walking. Okay, so we'll come out here, we'll bring this down, bring this over, and then we'll come out and put that there. Oh, there we go. That's perfect. And now this, that'll go over there. There we go. So now we have trials starting at 0 and starting at a little bit more than 0.2 seconds, and that makes sense because right here it starts at 0.28 seconds, and they all go out to about the same distance. But you'll see now that when we insert our legend, and we'll call the right side good. Okay, we can see that line walking, the basis support is much smaller than normal walking, and that book on head, there's portions where there's a larger basis support than normal walking. So then what we're going to do is we're going to add our axes titles. Okay, and then we could adjust these. We'll get rid of the chart title. We don't need that. We'll get rid of our grid lines, and it's the same thing that we've done previously. Now you don't need me to show you that again. And we'll change these axes titles. We'll change the font size and everything. All right. And so this is now one of the graphs you need. Okay. The next graph you need is the center of mass trajectory in the medial lateral direction. Okay. So now you'll get center of mass, or your plot center of mass against time. Okay. So, and that's going to be, you're going to follow the exact same procedure that we did here for center of mass. So I'll just show you one. So center of mass in the medial lateral direction. So that would be our X. And then, whoops, insert, scatter plot. Okay. Oh, that doesn't look right. That's usual. Whoops. There we go. So medial lateral direction is the Y. I was like, why does that not look right? Medial lateral direction is the Y. Okay. And then you could select your data. Oh, I'm going to do a little bit more. You could select your data and then select your time series from, whoops, we don't want B though, we want L and L, and that was to, we're just going to backspace there, X out. I need to move this, so we're going to cancel that. I want to move this out of the way. Okay, and so then we'll select our data, add X values. You'll give it a name. Select those, and then M, and then we need, that's M. Center of mass is going to be O. So we're going to, whoops, copy, paste. Okay. Whoops. And then we're going to edit that because I screwed up. O and O. Perfect. There we go. Cool. And so the reason that this looks funky now is because of that. So if we go here, it looks better, right? And then we can bring that down to there. So now it's all on the same time scale. All right. And then the same thing goes for the book on the head. Okay. So those are the 5 graphs that you'll need this week. So remember, it's 3 graphs with the trajectories of the left foot marker, right foot marker, and the center of mass in the medial lateral or in the XY plane. Okay. So imagine you're looking down, and then you've got the basis support calculations here, absolute value of the difference between those two, or left foot in the y direction, right foot in the y direction, and then you've got the 3 lines for your center of mass trajectories in the medial lateral direction. In with your y here, okay? Time versus y, you'll do that for all 3, and you can put them all on a single graph, which makes it easier to grade. And it's something that you should all do now by this point. Okay, so thanks for tuning in. Good luck with the projects and the rest of your term, and we will talk with you all later.